Today's edition of the 3 Martini Lunch is brought to you in part by 4 Patriots. Make sure you check out 4patriots.com/martini for all of the latest deals, including getting a solar panel with the purchase of the Patriot Power Generator 2000X, plus free shipping on orders over $97. But there are other great deals as well, including last chance items like the Patriot Pure products, the UV phone sanitizer, the UV wand, the sanitation solution machine, and the disinfecting power bank. But the Patriot Power Generator 2000X, worth its weight in gold because it has double the capacity and is expandable, so you can run the big appliances like your fridge, your freezer, and medical devices much, much longer. It comes with 12 outlets, including 4 AC, plus 2 USB-C outlets to charge your phone 20 times faster than normal. Visit 4patriots.com/martini to get your Patriot Power Generator 2000X with free solar panel included. Plus, get free shipping on orders over $97. Save more and get peace of mind now by going to the number 4patriots.com/martini. That's 4patriots.com/martini.
Welcome to the 3 Martini Lunch. Grab a stool next to Greg Corombos of Radio America and Jim Garrity of National Review. 3 Martinis coming up.
No good martinis to start the week. I know your Monday was hard enough to get going on, but hopefully we'll have some good martinis as the week progresses. Today, Jim, we've got bad, crazy, and crazy. And the bad is at least double-fisted, if not more than that. And it all deals with the horrific murder of Laken Riley down in Georgia, apparently running on the campus of the University of Georgia, and murdered allegedly by a 26-year-old illegal immigrant from Venezuela. He was arrested by ICE and charged with a whole truckload of felonies, including malice murder, felony murder, aggravated battery, aggravated assault, false imprisonment, kidnapping, hindering a 911 call, and concealing the death of another. And that's according to the University of Georgia police. But the story would be maddening enough if the details ended there, because obviously this person came into the country illegally, and this has been an issue we've been talking about a very long time. It's way too easy to get into this country illegally and to stay in this country after you've come here illegally. According to Allie Bradley over at News Nation, she also heard from Department of Homeland Security sources that confirmed that the suspect here was arrested 5 months ago in New York, September of 2023, in Queens for injury to a child less than 17. And from other reports I've seen, this child wasn't just under 17. This child was very, very young, like a year or two old. And so before ICE could even get its hands on this guy, New York City officials let him go, which seems to be a very common pattern now with violent criminals in New York City. It's maddening on multiple levels to see these absolutely insane policies come to conclusions like this, which is very foreseeable and extremely frustrating.
Greg, since I first heard about this story, I think the aspect that I've been chewing over and I keep going over in my mind is the degree to which, was this inevitable? And I think something as bad as this happening was indeed inevitable under these policies. There's a reason we have border security. There's a reason when you fly back into the country or enter back into a port of entry, they check your passports, they check your IDs, they run a background check. If you're not a U.S. citizen, they take your fingerprints. And this is all normal in every country all around the world. This is not xenophobia. This is not closed-mindedness. This is not harshness. This is just the way the world works. And if you have enough people who either get across the border without any impediment from border authorities, or they get caught because they say, "Look, I'm pleading asylum. I need asylum. It's too dangerous for me back in my country." And the attitude is, "Okay, we're going to let you out. There's a court date. Here it is, 2035. Come back that day." I think it's a Tuesday. Does the Biden administration have open borders? No, but the net effect is not all that different from open borders. That basically you come here, you get caught, you say you want asylum, and because there's such an enormous backlog, they just let you back into the country and say, "Okay, come back in a while." And some of these people who would do this are not going to be bad people, or are not going to be good people. Right? That this is not just going to be people who just want to work hard and, wash dishes or work as a hotel maid or something like that. That there are people who are going to be gang members. There are people who are going to be drug smugglers. There are going to be people here who had mayhem on their minds. And when you do that, when you let enough bad people into the country, you let enough violent criminals into the country, sooner or later, one of them's going to kill somebody. And our luck ran out. I mean, there may be other cases. We just don't know about them yet. But in this case, this is what happens. And not every murder can be prevented. Not every murder is a consequence of federal government policy. But this one is, because this person never should have been in the country. This person should have been held after assaulting a child. And this person should have been deported at the first opportunity. There's no justification for any of this. And the thing is like, we see these concrete costs of this. They're tangible. They're life and death. They're as clear as you can get. Greg, I ask you, what is the upside of this program? What is the advantage to that? I know people say, oh, well, eventually these people will turn into Democratic voters. I don't think that's necessarily the case. It all assumes a path to citizenship that Biden cannot unilaterally impose. People have been trying to push for a path to citizenship for a long time, and it has not happened. I think it's very clear that you're not going to get it in this country. There's not a desire. There's just too much opposition. And so the question is, why? Why are we doing this? What is the upside of this? That people don't get called xenophobic? That people's feelings don't get hurt? Yeah, but people's internal organs get hurt when you let somebody like this into the country. So that's where we are, Greg. Sorry to start off the week on such a dark note, but this is just, as I said, inevitable. This is all conscious choices. And when you decide, we're going to let a bunch of people into the country, and some of them might be dangerous, and some of them might be gang members, and yes, some of them are going to probably go back to their violent habits, but we'll just roll the dice and hope nobody dies because of it. That was the Biden administration's approach to this, and now we see the consequences.
Almost no other country in the world worries about being seen as uncompassionate or xenophobic. They've got very strict border security policies. Some of them are countries that these people waltz right through on their way from further down in Latin America all the way here. We've seen reports in the last couple of weeks about a huge influx of people from China coming across our border. Well, they didn't walk from there, so I don't know exactly what's happening from there. But yeah, there are other stories from this. It's not just this one. It's not just Kate Steinle a number of years ago in San Francisco. It's not just Molly Tibbetts in Iowa a few years back. There was a story in Colorado about a guy who had been deported 3 or 4 times and had multiple DUIs, got in another drunk driving accident, killed a mom and her teenage son. I mean, and with huge groups being bused to sanctuary cities across the country, there's reports of assaults and muggings and all sorts of other things happening in those places as well. And it's just maddening. But what's even more maddening is the media pretending like the obvious angle of the story, which we just talked about, isn't the story at all. You've got the Associated Press literally saying the killing of a nursing student out for a run highlights the fears of solo female athletes. Now, there are stories around here, Jim, about creeps kind of lurking around jogging trails, and sometimes they'll try to do things like that. So it's not just people here illegally who do that. But the story here is not about women's safety while jogging. I mean, you're really stretching for a larger lesson when you're going in that direction.
Greg, can I just observe, now we're worried about female athletes. Some 7-foot guy, as much testosterone as you or me, goes and plays women's basketball, throws them around. That's all hunky-dory. But now, okay, welcome to the party, pal, as we're fond of saying. That's not seriously, like you knew this was going to get a Republican's pounce. It can't possibly be that, like, hey, there's something really terrible. This guy was in custody and got released, even though he's in the country illegally and should have been deported, and he went on to murder some young woman. No, the real scandal here is Republicans are pouncing.
Unbelievable.
Way to go, AP.
But totally predictable. Absolutely, Totally predictable every time. That's the way they do it. All right, let's talk about getting better sleep right now. And if you want to try to get better sleep, there's no better way to do it than trying Magnesium Breakthrough through Bio-Optimizers. And right now, Bio-Optimizers is offering you a 14-day sleep challenge. And it's free. Get a 14-day supply of Magnesium Breakthrough for just the cost of shipping. All you got to do is find out and sign up at magbreakthrough.com/martini-free.
More than 75% of the population is magnesium deficient. And what most people don't know is that even if they're taking a magnesium supplement, they're probably still deficient because they're not getting all 7 forms. Magnesium Breakthrough is the ultimate way to give your body all 7 forms in one supplement.
To get your free 14-day supply of Magnesium Breakthrough, visit magbreakthrough.com/martini-free. This offer is only available at magbreakthrough.com/martini-free. That's martini-free, all one word. Overcome the struggle and get the most relaxing sleep ever with Magnesium Breakthrough. You just need to pay shipping. Go to magbreakthrough.com/martini-free, magbreakthrough.com/martini-free. All right, Jim, on to our first crazy martini now. And we knew this was coming. It was just a matter of when. It was earlier this month, I guess, when Republican National Committee Chairwoman Ronna Romney announced that she would be stepping down as chairwoman. And now, well, we know that it's going to come right after Super Tuesday, which is in the early part of March. So she's in her last couple of weeks on the job. She released a statement today, Jim, which actually had me laughing out loud, because anybody with any moderate memory of recent election cycles knows that this is complete hogwash. She says, quote, "The RNC has historically undergone change once we have a nominee, and it has always been my intention to honor that tradition. I remain committed to winning back the White House and electing Republicans up and down the ballot in November." So she's saying it's typical for party chairs to resign in the middle of an election year once the nominee has been decided, which it probably might officially be after Super Tuesday. I don't know exactly what the delegate count is. It's pretty obvious Trump's going to be the nominee. Jim, I've got no memory of that ever happening. I've been watching these elections for 40 plus years. So this is obviously her getting shoved out the door and trying to make chicken salad out of something else. And now we've got Trump's handpicked successors, who I assume will be easily ratified here. The North Carolina GOP chair and RNC general counsel Michael Whatley, as well as Trump's daughter-in-law, Lara Trump, to replace the current RNC co-chair, because apparently the chair and the co-chair can't be of the same sex. I didn't know that until this article,
Yes.
But there we go.
I was going to say, I've never seen the RNC ever get any credit for being gender balanced, sex balanced. They have, a chair and co-chair. You don't really hear much about the other one very much, but that's in every, I believe of the 3 RNC members from every state, it's got to be 2-to-1. You can't have all men or all women. But yeah, no Ronna McDaniel, crack a history book. It's almost always after a presidential election. It's usually in that quieter period, either between election day and like inauguration day in a presidential election year, or sometime in January, February is when they have the RNC meeting and select somebody. And usually most people do 2-year terms. There's a couple that have been 4. I went and I looked it up, and she has the longest tenure since somebody back like more than a century. And you think, wow, she's really good at this. But I think you look at the record of Republicans since 2016. 2016 was a great year. 2018? No, not so much. 2020? Gained a few House seats here and there, but generally bad. Lost the presidency. And 2022 didn't gain the Senate. Got the House, but by the skin of their teeth. Underperformed expectations. No, it's not very good. And I think it says something that, that there's been this great dissatisfaction with that. One of the reasons for that dissatisfaction is the fact that the RNC spent a considerable amount of money, a couple million, on Trump's legal defenses, arguing that was a legitimate party expense. I don't think that was necessarily a justifiable expense. And by the way, and we talked about in the past about how the RNC spent a lot of money on flowers, limousines, media consultants, a lot of money that doesn't sound like it was particularly helpful to Republicans winning elections. And apparently Lara Trump is like, I think most Republicans think that the RNC should spend money to help defray the former president's costs. I'm not surprised she's saying that. I don't know. And maybe if you did conduct a poll alongside the primaries going on right now, that most Republicans say, yes, I do want the RNC to donate, to use some of its money to help defray the legal costs of Donald Trump. Having said that, somebody pointed out, if you look at the contributions to the Catholic Church, once they started making massive payouts because of sex abuse scandals, donations dropped a lot. The New York Mets, and they had their whole issue with Bernie Madoff. Once people felt like the money they were, interest in season tickets dropped like a stone. Once people feel like the money that they're giving isn't going to the traditional primary purpose of the organization, a whole bunch of traditional donors drop away. Now, maybe conceivably, once Lara Trump says, hey, donate to the RNC, we're going to help my father-in-law's legal bills, maybe there are some people out there who will donate more. Maybe those people spent $300 on gold sneakers. I don't know. My sense is that if you want to have a Trump legal defense fund, set up a Trump legal defense fund. Don't turn the RNC into the Trump legal defense fund. But that's what they appear to be interested in doing. And CPAP wrapped up this past weekend. People have pointed out that it's become more and more a Trumpy event. And people noticed this year, you had a lot fewer Republican members of Congress showing up. You had a lot fewer governors. You had a lot fewer state lawmakers. And it's become, ironically, you had a lot more foreign leaders, Viktor Orban and folks like that, because we're nationalists. America first, Greg. That's why we need all the other folks from other countries speaking to us. And it just kind of seems like the Trumpification. Well, you trade off a certain donor base in hopes of picking up a new donor base. I don't think this is going to work out very well for the RNC in the long term, because I think people who want to support Trump are just going to donate to the Trump campaign. I don't see why this is going to be wonderful for the RNC's fortunes, but this is the course they want to go on.
And you're right about usually having short terms as party chairman. Some people did stick it out longer. Howard Dean was one of them. You really have to just love asking people for tons of money. So obviously somebody like Terry McAuliffe is perfect for that job and has no problem doing that forever until he wants to run for office. But Ronna Romney's been there forever. I believe from the last time we had this discussion, the last guy there was the person who helped William McKinley get elected and maybe even reelected during that 8-year stretch. But that's the record that you were referring to. You also mentioned the New York Mets finances, and every time I think about that, I think about the fact that they still pay Bobby Bonilla $1.2 million a year, even though he hasn't played for anybody since 2001. I think he maybe left the Mets even before that, but they have to pay him $1.2 million every year until July of 2035. That is the kind of gig you want right there.
By the way, I would make fun of that, Greg, but I have a sneaking suspicion that when all is said and done, the New York Jets and Aaron Rodgers will have some sort of crazy arrangement like that designed to defray the salary cap hit. And this option exists for all teams under most professional sports. You can renegotiate the contract to make the contract as long as you like. So instead of paying him $40 million or whatever you're supposed to do in 1 year, you break it up and you say $20 million this year and then like $19 million for the next. Wasn't it like the Dodgers and they did an arrangement with anyway? So
yeah,
like
Shohei Ohtani from the
Yes.
Angels, the Japanese pitcher / slugger. Yeah.
Yeah. So on the one hand, it's like the Mets aren't crazy, but when you're paying money, $1 billion to a guy who hasn't been on your team for like a decade or more, 2 decades, people do look at you funny, like, wow, how did you end up, that is a pretty sweet deal. And I'm sure Bonilla goes to the bank every year and just smiles.
I certainly would. Yeah, the theory is that Ohtani is going to obviously retire, and then they're going to start paying him huge money, and by then he won't live in California, so the tax burden won't be nearly as much. So I'm sure Gavin Newsom's going to try and shove something through the legislature to prevent that from happening. But
we got to move on. But my last thought there, Greg, why do states not say it's time for us to lower state income taxes because it is killing our professional sports teams in the free agency market? Get on the stick, New Yorkers.
Exactly right. All right, let's talk about Fast Growing Trees. Fast Growing Trees is the biggest online nursery in the United States with more than 10,000 different kinds of plants and more than 2 million happy customers in the United States. You can grow lemon, avocado, olive, or fig trees inside your own home on top of the wide variety of other houseplants available.
Fast Growing Trees makes it easy to order online, and your plants are shipped directly to your door in just 1 or 2 days. And along with their 30-day Alive and Thrive guarantee, they offer free plant consultation forever.
Yeah, we love the fig tree. We love the lemon. We love the monstera that we have. And I think we're going to grab another one. Mrs. Columbus is very closely looking at the Fast Growing Trees site in the last few days. Right now, Fast Growing Trees has the best deals online, up to half off select plants. Plus, when you use the code Martini at checkout, you save an additional 15%. Go to fastgrowingtrees.com, but be sure to use the code Martini at checkout for an additional 15% off. Fastgrowingtrees.com, code MARTINI. Offer is valid for a limited time, and tell them we sent you. All right, Jim, on to our crazy martini now. And as everyone expected, the South Carolina primary was quite lopsided on Saturday evening. Donald Trump was declared the winner moments after the polls closed. It was roughly 60-40, I think, but I think ultimately Trump was a little north of 60 and Haley a little south of 40. Haley says she's still in it all the way. Some people are wondering whether she's hanging on to be the backup Republican nominee in case Trump gets, convicted and sentenced in the middle of this election year. Others are wondering whether she's burnishing her image to try and run as a third-party candidate, perhaps specifically on the no labels ticket. But as you have highlighted, Jim, there's a big problem with picking Nikki Haley to be a third-party candidate here because so many states, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Texas, Arkansas, Alabama, South Carolina, Georgia, and others who have issues with candidates who ran in one party and lost, then becoming the nominee of another party. And so if she were to be the candidate for No Labels or anybody else, she would be starting at a massive disadvantage because she wouldn't be allowed on the ballot in a lot of these key states.
Yeah. So first of all, for what it's worth, Nikki Haley says she's not interested in being the No Labels candidate. I imagine maybe it's different when you're running for the Republican presidential, nomination. And, at some point, possibly as soon as after Super Tuesday next week, Trump will mathematically be the nominee. He'll have the most delegate. The delegate lead will be insurmountable. And the interesting question is, does Nikki Haley feel the same way? I don't know what Nikki Haley is trying to do. I think it's effectively say she's running a protest campaign. She's demonstrating that the number of Republicans who don't want Donald Trump and want the party to move in a direction like hers is, it's not a majority. And boy, life would be easier if it was a majority, but it's sizable, right? She was at 39.5% in South Carolina. You add up the non-Trump vote, it was like nearly half in Iowa. It is like 45% in New Hampshire. That's not nothing. That's not a majority. That's not going to get you the most delegates to the convention, but that's something there. So the question is, what do you want to, you have that, what do you want to do with that? A traditional nominee would be trying to unite the party. Donald Trump is not a traditional nominee. So, and No Labels is like, well, Joe Manchin says he doesn't want to run for president. I suppose he could change his mind, but he seemed pretty clear in that. Larry Hogan is running for Senate in Maryland. Nikki Haley is fairly well known and would probably be, in theory, in a world without these sore loser laws, would probably be one of the stronger people they could pick. But as you mentioned, like these are not small states. These are, a bunch of these are the big swing states that you actually would care about, particularly Michigan and Pennsylvania. Ohio's turned pretty red. Texas, I know Democrats say they're going to win this every 4 years, and they don't. Arkansas, Alabama, Ohio, they're all pretty red. South Carolina and Georgia are also both red, but they're also, like, South Carolina is Nikki Haley's home state. So it would be very weird to deliberately choose someone who would be ineligible to be on the ballot in her home state. And I don't know what that means. Maybe No Labels looks at that calculus and says, you know what? She's still the best option we got. We can find some Democrat to be the running mate. This is the best thing we got. This is our best chance. So let's go with it. But man, 8 states and 141 or so electoral votes, that's a lot to leave on the table. And it's not, 131 electoral votes. And it's not like there was a really good chance that the No Labels ticket was going to get 270. But, you figure that if this is another one of those cycle where so many people are frustrated with Biden and Trump, that they could do Perot numbers, that they could do something where they'd be, make a splash. And I just don't, it would seem really weird if No Labels said, all right, America, we've got a choice. Sorry, those of you in 8 states, you can't vote for this person because we picked someone who's ineligible.
Learn how to spell names if they do pick one of those people on your write-in, if that even counts.
No, they can't. She can't run as a write-in either.
She can't do that either.
No,
wow.
She can't. Okay. She cannot. Ineligible. Now, by the way, if this went forward, you would then see a lot of lawsuits get filed, and I think the Supreme Court would have to decide: are sore loser laws constitutional or not? And there are a couple of people who say, well, look, you're actually voting for the elector, so you're not voting for the candidate. So they're not breaking. Look, here's the I think in theory, sore loser laws make perfect sense. You lose a primary, you lost a primary, you lost your shot, pal. All right, come back next cycle. But who knows how the Supreme Court would interpret this? I think if you're No Labels, then the next question would be, if you pick some Democrat for No Labels, could Nikki Haley run as the vice presidential nominee? And would that be running afoul of sore loser laws? And because she's running for a different office, probably would say. Either way, it's going to be complicated. We'll see what No Labels does.
You've just got these massive disapproval numbers for both of the major party nominees or likely nominees. And every step along the way, there's been theories. On the Republican side, it was, well, if you can thin the alternatives a lot faster than in 2016, maybe the primaries will turn out. DeSantis or Haley sticking around will make it happen. Nope. That's not going to work. Well, maybe we can have a situation like 1968 where Lyndon Johnson sees Eugene McCarthy do much better in New Hampshire than he should have, and it's just a handwriting on the wall. And so Dean Phillips gets in there. No. Joe Biden gets like 97% of the vote. Then her report comes out. Well, Biden's, they're going to have to dump Biden now because he's clearly mentally deficient. Nope, they're rallying around him. Trump might get convicted. Guess again. He's not going anywhere. No matter how many times people try to think about different scenarios here, we're going to have these candidates most likely.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because it's very true. You could say, oh my God, these guys are so unpopular. Why can't you find a third option? It's the same reason why Democrats can't unite behind some non-Biden option. And, I was thinking about what we've seen in these first couple primaries. Hey, look, I'm not going to rehash the whole DeSantis argument. You can say that his campaign made a lot of mistakes and misplayed the hand they were dealt. But you look at this, as I said, nearly half in Iowa, 45% in New Hampshire, 39.5% in South Carolina. There's a chunk of the party that wants to move on from Trump. And I think if you had run, if somebody had emerged as a post-Trump candidate, but not an anti-Trump candidate, and been DeSantis-esque, if not DeSantis himself, and they'd united before Iowa, then maybe there was a narrow window. And I mean a narrow window for somebody besides Trump to be the nominee. But it probably would have been, required a near perfect Blue Angel precision performance from that candidate. And we're never very likely to get one of those.
It's only February. We'll see where everything goes from here. We're going to have new leadership at the RNC. Will any of that matter? Time will tell. Jim, happy Monday. See you tomorrow. Maybe we'll have a good martini then.
See you tomorrow, Greg.
Jim Garrity, National Review. I'm Greg Corombos of Radio America. Thanks so much for being with us today. Please do subscribe to the 3 Martini Lunch if you don't already. Tell your friends about us as well. Thanks for your 5-star ratings and your kind reviews. Please keep those coming. Get us on your home devices. All you have to say is play 3 Martini Lunch podcast. Follow us both on X. He's at Jim Garrity. I'm at Dateline_DC. Have a terrific Monday and join us again on Tuesday for the next 3 Martini Lunch.